Welcome to another episode of Voices Talk Show. Today we are going to be discussing white fragility and performative allyship in Alexandria. What exactly are we missing from this conversation? So I want to start off by allowing my panelists to go ahead and introduce themselves. This happens to be all of our Inclusion Network members, well, not all of them, but some of them. And it's actually really great to kind of be in our home space and doing this together, so it's actually a really exciting show.
Hi, I'm Deb Ledoux. I've been with the Inclusion Network now for about 15 years. It's a great organization and I love it.
Hi, my name is John Haidt and I'm into the Inclusion Network.
Hi, my name is Preeti Yanjan Feist and I am the member of Inclusion Network as well.
Thank you guys for being here and doing this. This is a very important topic, especially in this climate in our country right now. There's a lot of divisiveness going on, but I think that there's a very big misunderstanding when it comes to allyship and just white privilege and the white fragility that we're all experiencing a lot in this moment. So what exactly is your definition of white fragility and performative allyship?
I guess when I think of white fragility, I think of being uncomfortable around certain discussions, obviously involving racism and inequality. And then I kind of stop and wonder, well, why are people uncomfortable? And part of it, I think, is guilt. If you're white privilege, what are you doing to make things better? If you're listening to a conversation and you don't agree with it, are you speaking up? Or is there something in the back of your mind going, I kind of used to agree with that, and you feel bad about that?
So when it comes to white fragility, the perfect example would be there's a person of color and a white individual having conversation around race, and in that particular moment, the white person usually is offended by the conversation when we're in a situation where we're having difficult conversation. So then this person gets offended, and then instead of acknowledging that, there is a push. Either they're crying, and then this person of color feels really bad about it for starting. That to me is a perfect example of a very basic white fragility, where we're layering up with our own issues and not recognizing the hidden truth within that conversation. And then talking about performative allyship, the perfect example would be a couple months ago we had a rally that was the first rally that we did together as an Inclusion Network along with John Cole, a protest, a peaceful protest. And at that time, I was walking back and forth with the organizers, checking in, making sure everyone's doing things. And then there were instances where I was pulled out of my my own zone, working space, pulled out, and then people wanted to take pictures with me. So then those pictures, it was nice, so sweet of them that they were there with us joining, and I took pictures, but then those pictures were posted out in social media as if this person and we're already involved in this and seeped into what we're trying to tell. So the message gets lost, and that's, I think, performative allyship if we look at the examples of what happens.
And that is one of the things I think we really struggle with as a community. A lot of times it's more important for somebody to have their name on something than it is to actually be helping someone. And I feel like you have the resources, if you have the finances or whatever it is to help someone, do that. Do that and find out what can I do to make someone else's quality of life or experience here in this community a little smoother, a little bit more welcoming. And that, I think, is the very beginning of actually doing something that influences change?
To me, white fragility supports the status quo. You know, in the 12-step program, we say, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Because of our own inability to really see, to listen, to know what's going on, then things continue the way they are in their merry path, and that's why where we are. We you know, hundreds of years of oppression.
Personally, I think, you know, white fragility is so damaging to BIPOC communities because it almost heightens the internalized oppression that we already have. So when we're already dealing with the issues of insecurities around us, being a BIPOC, and then on top of that, when someone bawls in front of you or gets really angry at you, there's nothing else beside hiding in our own oppression, you know, and to feel like, oh, I am the victim here. This is how it's going to work. And so that just defeats the work that we've been doing, and it just pushes the momentum that we're working so hard for.
So can it make you almost feel guilty, like you've done something
Oh,
wrong?
absolutely.
If I feel bad, when it should be totally the other way around. I'm the one that should be feeling bad about the situation.
Yeah, and you know, we've had this conversation with a lot of BIPOCs, and they'll keep telling you, the moment we start having conversation with white folks that have issues, you know, fragility issues, the internalized oppression kicks in, and we go, oh my gosh, why did I even start? And a lot of us say that, you know, and that happens, and there's shame, and I'm like, oh, forget it, and then it just defeats the purpose, and then next time on, you don't want to talk about it.
If you're the one telling everyone that you're an ally, my first question is, who are your non-white friends? Who told you that you're an ally? Because a lot of times people feel like, oh, I give back, I do this, I have a lot of community service, I have resources in the community, and they think that they can't possibly be doing something wrong, or they can't possibly be hurting, you know, people of color. But you are if you're not including them. You are if you don't even acknowledge, notice, think of them. And so I think it is important for us to talk about what is true allyship, what is something that you can do in this community to actually start that process.
I can step in and think, I know what's great and wonderful, but that doesn't mean it's what's needed. I need to listen to you and find out what you need. What do you want me to do? And also, if I choose to ignore what's going on and not using my white privilege for the good, I'm contributing to the problem and not helping it.
It takes courage and a willingness to step aside and step down. And I think fear is underneath a lot of that, what will happen if. And yeah, so that's where I'm at.
Like a sense of losing power.
I think so, and I think that the power oftentimes is not, I mean, it's sensed, but it's not really realized.
So obviously we've already broken down fragility, white fragility, performative allyship. What does true allyship look like here in Alexandria? What is someone who is just coming into this, learning about these things, questioning their own implicit biases, and attempting to at least do the work? What can they do to be a better ally?
You need to learn, inform yourself, education, meet Joe or Preeti, but meet somebody different and truly meet that person as a person. You can, your dollars, do you spend them at a business where you know the person who owns it likes Alexandria to look just like it is and never wants it to change? Or do you spend your dollars at a business where you know they're trying to be inclusive and want to hire different people? I always say that doing nothing is doing something.
Yeah.
For me, doing the work is having the courage to step forward in ways that feel uncomfortable. And I think it changes for everyone. Some people, because of the way they happen to be wired, don't want to be seen, or they would like to do things behind the scenes. And I think that's fine. I think a lot of good work can be done. I'm kind of the opposite, and sometimes I think that's not good, because then it all becomes performance. And so doing the work to me is doing things for benefit, populations that have not seen that benefit, and doing it in a fashion that's good for them, not for me.
So you need to take a stand, even if it's hard. Maybe you'll lose friends. The last election, I know one person took all of her friends off Facebook who didn't vote the way she did, and I thought, wow, that's really harsh.
That is harsh.
But then the more I listen to what you live on a daily basis that I cannot begin to understand, kind of been rethinking that and thinking, well, maybe some of my friends need to go too, you know?
Yeah.
And it could start with buying a anti-racist books for your children or your nephews or nieces, right? Anything that you can do that promotes equity.
I think that's why the Inclusion Network began. I was here in the beginning. And so to make Alexandria a more welcoming place. And so we've done things, we've brought speakers in, we've had plays, drama, we did different kinds of issues to try to get people involved. Not easy, bunch of white people trying to do whatever.
I always think about me and Preeti and the things that we've accomplished educationally. We are very educated women with college degrees. Homegirl here has 2 masters and 2 bachelors, and I'm like, why are you not an executive somewhere or taking over the world? But in this community, she's been here for what, a decade?
5 years.
Probably, yeah, but
Seems
still.
like
Feels
it.
like
Seems
it.
like a
Seems like
decade.
it, in Alexandria time. However, she has been here for a while, and she's still doing jobs that I consider beneath her. She's still doing admin jobs and things like that. Why is that? Is
And
it
how
because
many
she isn't
people-
asking for the jobs? No. It's because we're not recognizing it. I think we're more comfortable giving the 19-year-old white girl who just graduated from college an executive position in our company than we are comfortable giving the South Asian Nepali
There's your
woman
nepotism.
who sees something differently, who has a different culture and grew up in a different way, giving them the same opportunity. And that's what we have to question. Those are the things we have to actually think about.
And it takes, again, for equity, justice, social justice work, you need to have the oppressed groups up at the forefront.
Yes.
And without that, it's impossible.
That's
So
right.
I think that's the work Inclusion Network has been doing for the last 15 years, trying to pull those people of color, trying to uplift them, trying to figure out ways. So when we talk about the work that needs to be done, we're just beginning. I think this past 20 years of Inclusion Network, that has just been the start of it. And now moving forward, I think we have opportunity to give leadership to POCs that are visible in the community. It's about time that we uplift them and then give them the resources that we've been giving to our white friends on the basis of nepotism.
And you understand that this, in our community, has been a long time coming. And so when you compare our community to other communities similar size,
Yes.
you'll see a very large, much larger population of people of color. That's not accidental.
Right, that is not accidental.
So we're fighting decades
Of systemic
and
racism.
generations. And so the knowledge has a base is gone sometimes.
Yes.
The realization that we are who we are because of what had happened a long time. We set the stage.
Today, at the Wake Up, the Douglas Historical Society, they were talking about the history and she talked about the first black farmer in Alexandria. And so now my curiosity is to learn more about this person. And so that's the journey I think anyone can take from anywhere if we intentionally put that idea of, finding equity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just really want to thank you guys for actually being here and doing this. This conversation was such an important one for me because I think now more than ever we're seeing performative allyship and white fragility at its peak. And we are in the middle of a revolution. And whether you're going to get on board or not, it's happening and things are changing. And I just want to live in a world where my children won't be in their 30s sitting at a table communicating about social or racial injustice. I want to believe that there's going to be a time when we can do better and we know better. I was listening to Graciela Mohammadi speak, and she is a phenomenal protest organizer, social justice guru. And she said, when the next injustice breaks, and we all know that it will, instead of building a shiny new table, and just find the one that already has been built and find out how you can support it. Find who else was talking before anyone else was listening and pass them the mic. And that's what you got to do, Alec. And I'm just proud to have this platform to speak about these things, to give my community a voice. And I'm just really grateful that I had the Inclusion Network to help me foster that, to help me find home and feel human again. If I didn't meet the Inclusion Network 2 years ago, I wouldn't be sitting in this position, and that means everything to me. So whether you are white or a person of color in this community, just like I was able to find a home at the Inclusion Network, you can do that too. Especially for my people of color out there who are living in this community. It took me 4 years, y'all, to meet another black person in this community. So I know, and I see the pain. I see that look in our eyes when I see them across from the Walmart or in line somewhere. I know what that feels like, to feel so lonely. And I can tell you, while it might not look like that in a 97, 98% white community, but there are doers here, and we're that. Inclusion Network has the ability to give you a voice, has the ability to give you community that is welcoming and inclusive, and you're going to grow from there. So go ahead and join our little fun family here.